Доброго дня. It's great to be here, and thank you so much for coming today. I am so pleased to introduce our guests, a bipartisan group of 4 members of Congress, led by Chairman Mike Turner from the House Permanent Select Committee. This is Chairman Turner's at least 3rd trip since the start of the full-scale invasion, and we're so happy to have this group here. Today, they had very important meetings, of course, with our intelligence teams and our team at the embassy, as well as with intelligence partners from SBU and HUR, and we will be going soon to see President Zelenskyy. They're coming and here at a very critical time, and as you know, there's a very important debate that's happening in Congress over military assistance and overall assistance to Ukraine. And this group now has had a firsthand opportunity to see how meaningful and how important that assistance is. From my perspective, there's no time to lose, not a second to lose. Ukraine needs our assistance now, and I am personally quite grateful for the support of these members as well as so many members of Congress. Thank you very much, and my pleasure to introduce Chairman Mike Turner.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Ambassador. We appreciate your hosting us on this. I want to introduce our delegation. We have Abigail Spamberger from Virginia, Jason Crow from Colorado, and French Hill from Arkansas. We are all 4 members of the Intelligence Committee in the House. We're very pleased with the success of our ambassador and appreciate her hosting us today during this trip. We all have access to the intelligence as to the risk that is faced not only to the United States, our allies, but the world as a result of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. We also look at the intelligence of the accomplishments of the Ukrainian people and what has been occurring here. We are all in great awe of the accomplishments of Ukraine, their resourcefulness, their grit, and their determination. We came today so that we could voice to President Zelenskyy and others that we were seeing that the United States stands in full support of Ukraine, and that the United States is working diligently in the House of Representatives and in the Senate to secure the funding that is necessary in 2024 for the United States support for Ukraine in their defense of Russian aggression. We are aware, of course, that the Senate is taking action right now to begin to move another piece of legislation that hopefully can resolve this. These are largely procedural and not substantive debates that are occurring in Congress. There is overwhelming support in the House of Representatives and in the Senate for support for Ukraine. We certainly look forward to this legislative process being resolved, and look forward to when we can return again and discuss with Ukraine the manner in which they're putting those resources to success against the Russian aggressors. With that, I'll recognize my partners, and the first would be Jason Crow from Colorado.
Good afternoon. I'm Jason Crow from the state of Colorado, and it's truly my honor to be here. This is my 3rd trip to Ukraine in as many years. I want to thank Ambassador Bridget Brink for her hospitality and her continued leadership, doing incredible work as the emissary of the American people, and Chairman Mike Turner for his leadership in bringing this Intelligence Committee delegation to Ukraine to send a very strong and very simple message, and that is the people of America stand with Ukraine. We stand with Ukraine not just because we understand that defending freedom and democracy around the world is an American value, but we stand with Ukraine because it's also in America's interest to do so. For less than 5% of our annual defense budget, we have helped Ukraine ensure a stable and prosperous Europe. We have helped Ukraine destroy over half of the Russian military. We have helped Ukraine defend our allies in NATO. And we have helped Ukraine ensure stable food prices and a stable supply of food around the world as well. All of those things are in the interest of the American people, and the American people see that, and we carry that message back to us in our districts when we'll leave here today. So we look forward to continuing meetings with President Zelenskyy and other officials of the Ukrainian government to talk about the path forward and what needs to be done to ensure our strong partnership and our strong alliance.
With that, I'll recognize French Hill from Arkansas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Ambassador, thank you for arranging this. Thanks for your good work here in Kyiv. I'm glad to be back in Kyiv and support of the United States position, which is that we want to give the Ukrainians the sense of partnership with our allied nations to make sure that Vladimir Putin knows that he's not going to stay in Ukraine. We're going to deny that opportunity to him. And it's my pleasure to be here also on behalf of the American people. You know, when you look at polling in the United States, the American people don't want Putin to win in Ukraine. They know that's not only bad for Europe, bad for the people of Ukraine, the sovereignty of Ukraine, but it's bad for the world. It sends the wrong message. And so we are here in support of the American people through their elected representatives to reiterate that point. And we ought to know something about that because our own country was founded on that principle. In 1775 to 1781, we would not have had a successful revolution were it not for the people of France, the bankers in Amsterdam, the people in Spain. We would not have had the resources. 80% of the muskets and uniforms worn by the Continental Army were paid for by France. So we know that sense of partnership that it takes when you're fighting for freedom. All of us on a bipartisan basis are committed to that here, and we'll deliver that message again to President Zelenskyy, that he will see the support of the United States with our allies and partners throughout Europe and around the world that stand for freedom here and draw the line that we're not going to have this sovereign nation destroyed by the Russian bear who eats relentlessly even when he's not hungry.
Next, I want to recognize Abigail Spanberger, who's from Virginia.
Good afternoon. I'm Abigail Spanberger. I represent Virginia's 7th District in Congress, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Madam Ambassador. To the Ukrainian people, thank you for welcoming us on this trip. And as my colleagues have stated, the purpose and the goal of this trip is to ensure that our Ukrainian partners recognize the commitment that the American people and certainly the American Congress will continue to have in supporting Ukraine and its fight for freedom. It is consistent with who the American people are. It is consistent with our democratic values to recognize the extraordinary strength, the extraordinary might, the extraordinary grit of the Ukrainian people as they have worked tirelessly to defend their own freedom and their own country. And the investment and the support of the American people in that fight, in that effort, is one that we have proudly made. And I look forward to us continuing to make. We have seen the successes of Ukraine as Ukraine has won back more than 50% of the land that Russia has taken since their invasion 2 years ago. This is impressive, it is important, and we see it and recognize it. And it's for that reason that we want to continue supporting. It is extraordinary to be here, to be able to speak to that, and I certainly thank the chairman for bringing this group together so that we can speak on the ground with our Ukrainian counterparts about their work, their successes, and their continued fight for their freedom. Again, it's consistent with democratic values, American values, and U.S. national security interests. Thank you.
I want to point out that this is a bipartisan delegation, and with that, we'll open it up to questions.
We'll have about 10 minutes, please.
You had your hand up real quick.
Thank you, Independent Vladislav Uyghur. So you may be aware of this story about the surveillance over journalists of the Bihus-Info investigative project by the Security Service of Ukraine. What was your signal to the Security Service of Ukraine?
Yeah, I'll give this to the ambassador.
To President Zelenskyy over this case and how to ensure what Ukraine, what Kyiv should do to ensure more support, more control over the law enforcement agencies. Thank you.
Hi, thanks a lot for the question. What I can say is that President Zelenskyy was very clear on this in the last few days, and he made a statement in support, of course, to press freedom. We very much support that here as a democratic value that's very important for Ukraine to achieve your goals, the goals of integration into Europe and the goal of integration into NATO. So our position is the same as President Zelenskyy's in support of media freedom. Thank you.
So, next question. Yes.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for having us here. So in the wake of Russia's full-scale invasion, the narrative of bipartisan, unwavering support is what we constantly hear, and we're very thankful for that. But lately, it's challenging to reconcile this narrative with the repeated failures to pass the legislation providing financial aid to Ukraine, could you help me to explain to our Ukrainian audience the paradox of proclaimed bipartisan backing amid the absence of crucial military and economical help to Ukraine since December?
Right, so neither the House of Representatives nor the Senate have passed the funding bills for the United States. So as we're trying to get those done, you can see how this whole package and the issue of aid to Ukraine, aid to Israel are also being delayed. Next question? Yes.
I'm Nicole, West America. Thank you very much for being here today. The question is, so you have already talked to Ukrainian officials. You have more talks to come. But what exactly Ukrainian officials told you regarding the aid? What particularly they ask for, they need the most, and what is the chance that this budgeting would be approved on time for Ukraine?
Right, so, and I'll give my other members to also speak on this. We came here in part to deliver the message that the United States fully supports this funding, and that as legislators, we support it, and we believe that there's overwhelming support in the House and the Senate, and this will get done. It includes a package that provides the weapon systems that Ukraine has indicated that they need. Also, I know this group and others in the House and the Senate are very big proponents for longer range weapons being provided to Ukraine because of the needs on the battlefield that we're seeing evolving. Anybody else? Do you want to?
Yep. In addition to the chairman's comments, it's a lot of the stuff that has been provided before, artillery munitions, air defense munitions. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we're providing the munitions and the capability to protect the cities and protect the industrial centers, because a big part of our goal here is not just to help Ukraine win on the battlefield in the short term and the medium term, but to build a bridge to self-sufficiency, so the economy can get up on track and Ukraine can sustain itself. And that will require additional security funding to do that.
Just a few more questions. Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes.
Ukraine for 1 second. When praising Ukrainian achievements, all American officials, you as well remind that Ukrainians returned 50% of the territory or defeated the Black Sea Fleet of Russia. And it was impossible without American support, undeniably. But unfortunately, these achievements are not carved in stone. With the ongoing time-consuming debates in the Congress and the eroding of support in the Congress, he can easily regain all that Ukrainians have liberated and achieved already. Do you aware of that? Is American public aware of that? And do you communicate that with the White House or your fellow colleagues in the Congress? Thank you.
Let me address that, because look, as Chairman Turner mentioned, we have the overall funding for the United States, which is always an ongoing debate inside the House and Senate, and it's delayed this year during the course of not only a presidential election year, but also controversies in the House about politics. But both the elected representatives in the House and Senate and the American people understand the critical nature of America's military support and budgetary support for the country of Ukraine and the timely need of it. But just like the chairman said, we've had that conversation. We want to make sure that we get the right systems to the right purposes to meet the strategy of denying Putin's ability to make progress or take on any other success in Ukraine, number one. Number two, we want to be complementary to what the European Union and our allies are doing. And they've just recently approved their package. So I think we understand the importance of the timing, and the importance of the commitment to it. But it is also important, and it will reduce that funding if we get, as my friend from Colorado said, get the economy open here. So it's more than just the funding. We need the military support, true. We need the budgetary support, true. But we also want to make sure that the Black Sea is open and free for navigation for important manufacturing and agricultural products from Ukraine to get to the world market. That will boost tax revenues here in Ukraine, have less budgetary pressure, And so to do that, I think we need to enhance the sanctions we have, not only on Russia, but also on third countries that are backing Russia. They need to feel the cost of sanctions from the United States, from the European countries, and from our allies, partners. That's a key component.
The next question will have to be the last question.
And you had your hand up, so you get it.
Radio for Europe, Radio Liberty. My question is about maybe the main topic in Ukraine, the replacement of Commander of Chief Valery Zelenskyy. You know about it. And what is your attitude? Have you talked maybe with President Zelenskyy about it? And maybe do you discuss the prospects in the war of such a replacement?
Sure. Well, first thing is I want to express on behalf of the American people a deep appreciation and thanks to General Zelenskyy, who for the last 2 years has led the effort to defend Ukraine, to stand by his soldiers, and has done so remarkably, and should be commended for his leadership. There's no doubt about that. The United States and Ukraine share a value, and that value is civilian control of the military. And it's a value that is time-honored and is very important for any democracy. And as part of that, the civilian leaders have the right and the responsibility to choose those leaders to move forward. And after 2 years of hard-fought battle, it's our understanding that President Zelenskyy is looking for a refresh and a different approach, and that's certainly well within his right, and we support that right.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.